A Roman army of 5,000 men could march for weeks without a single toilet, no bathrooms, no privacy, no modern sanitation, yet somehow they didn't collapse from disease. So, where did it all go? And how did they survive? Picture this. You're a Roman soldier. You've been marching for hours, armor digging into your shoulders, sand in your sandals, sweat everywhere. Your stomach starts to turn. There's no restroom, no break area, no wait until we arrive. Because the army doesn't stop. And here's the strange part. This wasn't chaos. It wasn't random. The Romans had a system, a strict, organized, almost obsessive system for something most people never even think about. And if you broke that system, things got dangerous fast. It starts the moment the army decides to stop. At the end of a long march, Roman soldiers didn't just drop their gear and rest. They built a camp every single day, not a loose camp, not temporary chaos, a perfect rectangle, roughly 600 meters by 600 meters, surrounded by a ditch and a raised earth wall, guards at every corner. Inside, everything had a place. Tents aligned in straight rows, command center at the exact middle, streets laid out like a mini city, and then, outside the walls, came the most important part the ditch. But this wasn't just for defense, it doubled as something else a sanitation line. Each soldier knew exactly where to go, not inside the camp, never inside, always beyond the perimeter. They would walk out, often in groups carrying their gear, sometimes even still armed, because even this simple act could be deadly. Ambushes didn't wait for convenient moments. So imagine this. You're exhausted, your legs ache, your stomach is tight, you walk out past the camp walls, scanning the horizon, you squat in the open, exposed, vulnerable. No walls, no doors, no privacy, just you. And the risk of being seen. But the Romans made it controlled. They designated specific zones, not random spots, not go wherever you want. Specific distances from camp, usually downhill, so waste wouldn't flow back toward them if it rained. And spacing mattered. Too close and the smell would creep into camp. Too far and soldiers would be at risk longer. Everything balanced, everything calculated. But what about when they weren't camping? What about during long marches? This is where it gets even more brutal. The Roman army moved fast, around 30 kilometers a day. There was no stopping column for bathroom breaks. If you needed to go, you stepped out of formation quickly. You moved to the side, did what you had to do, fast, and then ran back to rejoin your unit. Fall behind too long and you risked punishment, or worse, being left behind. And being alone even for minutes was dangerous. Bandits, scouts, enemies. So even something basic became a race against time. Now imagine doing that in full armor. Leather straps, metal plates, heavy belt. Nothing easy about it, nothing comfortable. And then there's hygiene, because here's the part most people don't think about. Toilet paper didn't exist. So what did they use? Simple. Whatever they had. Grass, leaves, pieces of cloth. Sometimes even a sponge on a stick. Shared among multiple soldiers. It sounds shocking, but to them it was normal, and water mattered. Whenever possible, camps were built near rivers or streams, not just for drinking, but for cleaning. Soldiers would wash their hands, rinse tools, keep at least some level of hygiene, because they understood something critical. If sickness spread, the army weakened, and a weak army lost. This wasn't about comfort, it was about survival, but even with systems, things could go wrong. Bad weather could flood waste areas, poor placement could contaminate water, and when that happened, disease followed. Dysentery, infections, parasites. You didn't need a sword to die in the Roman army. Sometimes, your own body was the enemy, and discipline made all the difference. Roman soldiers were trained to follow orders without hesitation, even in something as personal as this. You didn't ignore the system, you didn't cut corners, because one mistake didn't just affect you, it affected thousands, and punishment was real. If a soldier disobeyed orders, even minor ones, consequences were harsh. Extra duties, beatings, public humiliation, in extreme cases, execution. So, yes, even where you went to the bathroom was controlled by military law. Now compare this to other armies of the time. Many simply didn't care.